Talking about June, I'm sure that many of us, if you're somebody who usually checks your calendar, you will know that today is June 3. You know, after school, when you don't write dates in your notebook again, a lot of people lose sight of that. But today is June 3, and it's not a happy occasion.
Not the fondest of memories at all.
For a lot of Ghanaians. We lost over 150 people to that flood and fire disaster at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle here in Accra. And our colleague, Kojo Brace, stepped out, you know, because usually there is an event to commemorate the occasion. But the bigger question is...
have we learned any lessons?
And also, what the future holds for us. We've seen the rain parting over the past few weeks. We've seen what happened last week and the week before that when it rained quite consistently, not too heavy though, but quite consistently over a period of hours. We will be finding out what the weather pattern will be like in the coming days, because it's important you know, so that you can, you know, just stay alert and protect yourself. But before we have that conversation, let's bring in Kojo Brace, who's been out commemorating June 3.
Join news. Today we are at Circle, right opposite Vienna, where 7 years ago today, a sad incident occurred. We called it the twin disaster of flooding and fire. Well, this filling station, after a heavy downpour, got flooded. The whole area got flooded. And because the fuel had leaked, fire, broke out, and it caused a lot of devastation. As you can see, all the scraps here are remnants of the cars that got burnt on that day. Today, 7 years on, we are here to interact with victims of the disaster, to find out from them how things are running for them and what ought to be done to ensure that life becomes bearable for them, if it's unbearable because of that. I have 3 survivors here with me. Chief, good morning.
Good morning, boss.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well.
So what's your name?
Kasim Suraj.
Kasim Suraj. Okay. What's your name, sir?
My name is Jacob Ama Nkrumah.
How are you doing?
Fine.
Good. What's your name, sir?
Thomas Sechi.
How are you doing? Suraj, let me start with you. Do you recall what you were doing and what happened on that day?
Please, I will talk to you.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Pacho, that day na nsoto na me no my wife na nam ene me ba ne me bra. Je nipa 4. Nti yadru ase na eflade na me ka ne ka hase. Nti ye na ebe gina ase. Nti ya gina ona me wife say mindani me chi na me hwe na ejao mindani me nkwa na eja beto mitiso me ho hwi biem. Ndi me expect team na 37 na 37 so me ko da on sa time no na me nim say my wife ne me brother me busa for o mewu. Ndi me dawa ebe discharge me ansa na psychologist for ya mo ba me nche na me nim de okoso de na but yanka you see my wife no omo wa admission reach na me so mo 37 nti na me so me gidi sa da ebe discharge me na chem so my wife me busa for o mefu nti nya easy na me di bibia e de ma nyame set de nyame na e ma nyame na eji nti but fiti satam na ebe sin de se no challenge kwa me da so sa egusi kwa ayare sa ne ba skasem nti ena na nsia ayare sa ena Mr. Mintimi ko review bi saji ba ku 20 ena mi ye nkase miti yi nkase fi miti nti ko we kura headgear na be hye miti kura na sika ni wa be headgear sika wan na me admission na ebetua me base me ko bisa ye say base na etua compensation me tuwa na mo enko yi
Monetary compensation.
Compensation, I mean, maybe some, I see, medical base, medical base compensation. Last year, I'm begging us, Bekasa. And now, Bibaji, Mark say, we are compensation, then I make us a compensation. Yeah, more be a compensation. My wife name me busa for mushroom me busa for say we anka me bechichi mu work akra. Yarsana me hwe mu scanio. Busia na me boys la show ye betua me bisa ese compensation. Nti mesra mu compensation de embae nti ye besre aban. Na omo hwe na omo to na mo man mpinifo na omo kabi man na nti me nya yesika na nti me hwe ye omo na nti me hwe ye yarisa.
So what Suraj is basically saying is that on that day he was here with the wife, child, and a brother. When all of a sudden the wife said, "Fire!" Immediately he turned. There was fire on his head, and that's everything he recalls. By the time he realized he was at 37, so many operations. He's gone through 20 of such operations just to recover to be how he is today. He says that, he lost a huge thing on the skull there. We are showing to you on the screen now. That's his skull as it is today, from that particular accident. It's quite a huge one. You need to be brave enough to watch this. He says that was at the hospital, they didn't tell him that the wife, the child, and the brother have all died. It was after, when he was being discharged, when psychologists came to him and worked on him to understand what was happening. He says they only paid his medical bills, but he has not received anything like compensation. And because of lack of funds, he's not able to go for reviews, and that is affecting him. Well, let me speak to other survivors or victims of this. No, stay with me. Don't go. Still stay with me, sir. How are you doing, sir?
Fine.
Do you also recall what you were doing that day and what happened?
Okay. I'm a father of a disease. Okay. That very fateful, that very sad Wednesday, I was at work and the rain started. It rained in the morning, and in the evening it started again. And my son is also going to work. So
He was going to work that evening.
He's going to work that very day. So I was there. It was raining heavily, and my wife too, and is in the market. So. In fact, I'm willing to come and see them because I know where they are. It's very, very distant. I couldn't come. The next morning, I had a call from my wife that the water has taken my son away. So my son, he didn't burn, but he was. Is drowned, yes, by the water.
So you didn't see the body?
We saw the body later, the following day. Volunteers came and we took them to the 37 military hospital, police hospital. So from there, I buried my son. Yeah.
How old was he?
He was only 5 years. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Let's still speak to other, victims or survivors of this disaster. You're still watching the Citizen Microphone on the AM show on Joy News. 7 years on after this twin disaster, what happened, Chief? Thank you. Are you a victim yourself of that?
I'm a victim.
Do you recall what you were doing and what exactly happened?
That June 3rd, no, I was in filling station here. The time, I'm 11:15, and I'm one. But me been free that side and about filling station animal. I'm baby drew hand no. Na insu ne patru no. From bank nani mo bani na insu ne patru no. edi afra wɔ hɔ no mo ntu na mu a ubodi ni nyinaa hyehye wo te sɛ deɛ edwumako adɔ no nti me bɛgyina inside a na nipa wɔ ana na cars wɔ inside a no mo nti ebɛgyina ha no na me wɔ machine na pompe petrol no ho na ga bi gyina hɔ no na afi na ɔmo afa ga no na me so ɛne me wɔ akyiri ano ma nsuo no gyae na me do yɛ den nti data nipa wɔ hanom na yɛsere nti yɛgyina hɔ no ma yɛdi nkɔmɔ na ne yɛmete yɛ sɛ fire nti yɛpie free inside hanom akɔ pavement so akɔhwɛ ba bi yɛgya ne free ba meanwhile na ɔmo yɛ fire no that building na ɛwɔ hɔ na ɔmo agu no na ɔmo wɔ soro na ɛyɛ fire nti na yɛgya ne free this side na ɛba within short time no ɛna yɛgya no bɛka yɛhyɛ ha nti wudi ti wura nsuo no ma wobɛpagya bia no na yɛgya da mu nti mani so tee me no na me wɔ hospital nti me hospital na me kɔ no 4 days time bia no mani so ntem mani so tee me no na me bisa sɛ deɛ na ɔmo si wɔ gya na me so no problem nti that very day deɛ manya na hongro so
so ka so de oti wura nsuo na sa de na agya ne ntina wo de oti wura nsuo na sa
na because that time patro no wɔ nsuo nani enti wo dodge se patru no be opia wo be pie bia na eja no da so yeden ewo be nka nsuo eja ehye na odi nsuo dum na edum be we de eja no ni nsuo ni nyina na e operate that very day no nti that very day no yo ho hwea na enye den enye yie.
Interesting. I mean, his narration is that on that day he came to the side with some group of people, but they saw that there were petrol, on the surface of the water. So they came to stand by some pumps here at the filling station where we're standing, and then all of a sudden they had fire from a neighboring house. By the time they realized, the whole place was up in flames, and whatever you did, you could not swerve the fire. So along the line, when he became conscious, he saw himself in a hospital, 37. When he asked, I think it had been 4 days since he'd been in the hospital, and that is it. So, into one know him for a sheshe.
Pacho, means manimuna, baby, I do me person show picture and chiro me phone so. And now me will picture manimu meto me pray pa.
Na mumu ba ko kask compensation bia ma ono nsan kan compensation between ho wo so kan odia
me pacho omumma obi bia compensation me pacho me ye June 3rd victim chairman ya ye prayer ni na me na me da no omumma obi a mpatasika e friend compensation me nhunu bi ba bia because sikana omo kasa omo de ma ye compensation no ye 2015 na case ni see ye no omo ye ne into 2 groups survivors no ho na omo lost to family no e wo honom enti omo ma obi a or lost to any family 10,000 Ghana cedi which is 100 million so omo fancy ni family no na mrepa mu no aban be hwe na wa ma empatasika enti ya na ye survive no that time krofo omo yi omo no na ye yi free hospital aban na nsan ntua ho sika bieu nti sika na omo de ama ye 10,000 na de be hwe ho yade kopenso ho beto ansa na ban na hwe na wa ma empatasika be no kra no nipa meftimi aka se omo praye no omo wu ye na nya mo na de si omo family bebre nya bia nsi omo family be oya ye survivors no nipa metimi aka se be 16 people and etimi nya bi enso de ba fie be hwe omo ho yade menu ayo gina wa friend Cousins large no omo ye no operation omo be 19 times 20 yeah last one ye 2020 ya I was there no mo ye no operation ono say sika bia ni ho obeso say nipa no up to now ye nkrofo no bi wo muntimi mpie ma outside say de ohun ye say de egina outside no nti problems de mo ho 2017 na Beni president be ready $200,000 say case DC 2015 na ho boa nso nti 2017 no na ho boa so ye na obi ready $200,000 so mo fan support victims for sika no kodi adman premp of nadmo boss 2018 ye ko ho 2019 ye ko ho on the 29th of June and as sika no mu rizi e de ma ye se ene ya 2015 no mo ma obi nim sika so mo fam si o mo family e no mo bi ye hospital no say bia ye ba bia da sei ana obi bi odi apeba bi wahwe ho ya de kopenso ho beto ansa na aban na ma on patasika ba aban na kasa ma obi bi ahwe e ye Beni president e be release that $200,000.
So what he is adding on to what Suraj told us is that yes, nobody has been giving any compensation that when the incidents happened, government gave 10,000 cedis to families that had lost, relatives. And for them as victims, nobody has given any compensation. It was in 2017 that the president of Benin brought some $200,000 to be given to them. Even that money, they got it in 2019. And it is not the compensation that they're asking for. That money was from a benevolent individual, the president of Benin. So they are still asking government to pay these compensations to them. If you see them, it tells of people who are in a situation that government needs to attend to them and give them the compensations they are looking for. Their stories are very, very sad ones. It's quite sad speaking to them, but that has been the Citizen Microphone from Circle today. Share your thought with us here on the AM show, on Joy News, on our social media platforms, and we will share that with the rest.
Well, quite a bit of a development there. How many years on? Seven. Since that ghastly June 3rd incident. I don't know whether you saw when the gentleman took off his cap and was showing us. That made my heart.
Yep. It's really sad. I mean, but like we said, have we learned from our lessons? This morning,
should I answer the question?
On the 6 a.m. news on Joy FM, we had a story about this, and a head of settlement studies at the KNUST, mentioned that we need to do more to avert this. But we'll be speaking to a senior forecaster, right?
Yep, we shall. Joshua Asamoah, the senior forecaster, and he'll be telling us a bit about what to expect, because in recent times we've seen that, we've had the rains come every now and then, maybe not as bad as we would have expected or it could have been. But sometimes when it rains for just a few hours, what we see is nothing to write home about. So we're going to interact with Joshua to give us some scope to what we can expect in the coming days, especially as within the last few hours we've got dynamics about what the weather patterns are like from other countries, neighboring countries into Ghana. Mr. Asamoah, very good morning to you. Thank you for joining the conversation. Never a good sound to hear. It appears we've lost Mr. Asamoah, but we'll try to get him back. So we'll be asking the relevant questions about what we can expect moving forward as far as the rain is concerned. What can we expect in the next few hours? What can we expect over the weekend leading into next week? We'll get details of that. And of course, if you followed what has happened in recent times when it comes to the rains, it rains for a few hours and many places are flooded, from Kaneshi to Lagos. If you use the Okponglo stretch, you would notice that place usually gets flooded. If you're not careful, water could enter your engine, and you know how problematic that could be. You go forward towards the Ghana Standards Authority area, Gulf House, that's another area. You go towards Kaneshi, like I mentioned earlier, and many other pockets of the capital city and other parts of the country as well. So what can we expect? That is the key, issue to look at. What can we expect now and in the coming hours and the coming days, so that at least we can anticipate the rain and prepare in a way? That is a conversation we're having up next. We'll shortly be joined by Joshua Asamoah, senior forecaster. We'll be right back.